Hello, this is Mr. Mohammed Saeed. I'm a Relo Mentor Group 2021st. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Mo Saeed English. Hello, English teachers. How's it going with you? I hope you're doing well in your classes. Today's topic is crucial for every teacher. It's called alternative assessment. Let's find out about this new kind of assessment. Inshallah, it will be presented in 3 parts. So follow me in these 3 videos. So the word alternative means that there is a form that we already have been using, which is the first kind of assessment that we are using. So the assessment that we are using here in our schools and our classes, this is called the traditional assessment, which is called the pen and paper. Okay, so the pen and paper, it's exams and tests and choices and true and false and yes or no. Most of these are called traditional ways of assessment. So what is the difference now, or what comes in your mind when we say alternative assessment? So this is today's agenda. Today's agenda, we're going to speak about traditional assessment versus alternative assessment. We are going to make a distinction between the traditional assessment and the alternative ways of assessment. Number 2, we are going to find together, you and me, the advantages of using this kind of assessment, what are its best highlights, and what are the different kinds of alternative assessment. Of course, there is no one kind, there are so many kinds in the alternative assessment. And we are going to go deep through the portfolio, which is one main part of the alternative assessment. And I'm going, inshallah, to tell you how to do it, how to perform a portfolio using your hands now. So I advise you, all of you now, to ask anyone next to you to bring you a sheet of paper and scissors or a cutter. Okay. Is everyone, do you all listen to me? Are you all listening?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so I'm
yes,
asking everyone now to just have a sheet of paper and scissors or a cutter, because inshallah by the end of this session I'm going to show you and tell you how to conduct a portfolio, and I'm going to show you in one of the classes here in Egypt has used this kind of assessment and how did they conduct it. So inshallah we are going to do a theoretical part and a practical part. We are going to learn more about advantages and definitions and so on, and we are going to do some of the things with our hands. So I'm asking you now again to ask anyone next to you to bring just a sheet of paper and scissors. Let's all start.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to number 3. What comes in your mind when we hear the word alternative assessment? Please use the chat box, okay, the chatting, and write any possible word that comes in your mind when I say alternative assessment. Just 1 word, 2 words, 3 words. You can use the chat box right now. I'm waiting for your answers.
Go ahead. Go ahead, شباب, يلا.
Projects, very good.
New techniques.
More than techniques, very good. Project,
Traditional.
presentation, games, modern ways, very good. Research, projects, excellent. Surveys. Miss Fatima, well done. Google Forms, creative ways, games, interview, role play, exit ticket, quizzes, peer feedback, presentation. Very good. Project and task, games, thumb up, thumb down.
That is interesting. Yeah, plays, projects, portfolios. So all mainly we have the same answers. Games.
Okay, so let's go to number 3, number 4, slide number 4. So look at this table carefully. we have here two numbers. We have number one, paper pencil test and presentation and interview. This is the first exercise we are going to do. Let's compare. The slide speaks about comparing. Let's find some differences between the paper pencil test and the presentation and the interview. So what are the things that I'm going to think when I'm going to compare? Think about the teacher's role when you are doing a pencil paper test and when you are performing a presentation. Think about the student role. Think about the self-directedness. In which one of them the student is self-directed learner. Think about the language use. Which one depends on the language use more than the language itself? Okay. Which one from these two kinds of assessment speaks about the demonstration of language taught? And which one allows a variety of using and presenting and demonstrating the target language? So these are the items that we are going to use in our comparison. Again, we are now doing an exercise to compare between the paper pencil test and the presentation or the interview. In other words, I'm going to simplify it for you. If you are a teacher and you have performed a grammar lesson, a reading lesson, or any kind of lesson, after this, you are going to assess what you have taught. So you can either give the student a sheet of paper, and they are going to do some choices and completion and so on. And on the other scenario, you can ask the student to make a presentation about what they have learned. So,
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Ad.
Okay, we can take one by one. If we take, for example, paper pencil tests, and we ask the group or the people to give a reflection about paper pencil tests, the role of the teacher and the role of the student. Okay. And
okay.
What do you think?
If anyone would like to start, okay, he can. The floor is all yours. You can tell me about what differences.
Or we can write in the chat box about paper pencil tests, for example, number one.
Or maybe we can listen to them. We can listen to them. It would be more effective.
Okay, we can raise our hands. We have Christine, Nabil.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Christine.
So, Mr. Mohammed said, asked about paper pencil tests. What's the role of the teacher in this?
I think the role of the teacher here is kind of passive role, not active role, because the teacher just gives the students the tests, and that's it. Maybe if the students have any questions or something like that, maybe he can give them the answers. But when it comes to the presentation, it's more interactive. It's more active, like active learning. We use the language. We just not writing it or just make the outputs kind of oral outputs, because it's a language. We have to focus on the on using the language, not only writing the language and passing the tests. Yeah.
Well done, Ms. Chris.
Personally, I prefer the presentation interview or any activity that includes talking and interaction.
Okay.
Excellent. Well done, Ms. Christine. Well done. You have briefed it and you have all put it in a nutshell. Excellent, really excellent.
My pleasure.
Any participants would you like to share? Okay, raise your hand. I can see if you raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, we have Miss Amal. Go ahead, Miss Amal. What do you think of the role of the student in this in paper pencil test? Yeah.
I want to talk about another point. I think that the paper pencil tests deals only with the cognitive part, while presentations and the interviews deals with the skills and
excellent.
Yes.
Do you mean that? Okay. Do you mean that paper pencil test shows knowledge about the language?
Yes, only knowledge. But in presentations and the interviews, We deal with the skills and the attitude.
This is a point, the ability of the
Yes.
student. Yeah.
Yes.
Well done, dear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next part, which is the definition. From what we have said now, from all your comments, the teacher's role in the paper pencil test, as we all said, it may be a negative part. The student do not participate in their assessment, which is something not good. The more you make the student participate in their assessment, this would be a good chance for them to learn, because they are guiding. Now they are guiding their learning, and the students are active. Of course, they are active in the alternative ways and the presentation and the interviews. And of course, the student is self-directed in the alternative ways. And the language, we forgot to speak about the language. I think that the student will speak more and demonstrate more in the presentation and the interviews, more than the paper pencil. They are just writing and telling us that they know the verb and they know the noun and they know the adjective, but they are not using it in a real life situation. So from all what we have said, let's put a definition to the alternative assessment. So let's read that definition. It's called the authentic or performance assessment. Now, the teacher in the alternative assessment, in this kind of assessment, he is assessing the performance, of the student, not just
after the performance.
As someone said, that the paper pencil, it's more cognitive, about just knowledge and language and so on. But the alternative, it's about the performance, that the
ability of the student. Yeah.
Excellent. Of course, Mr. Ladd. So this kind of assessment, it asks the student to analyze. This is the first main verb. The students are analyzing. The students are applying what they have learned in real life situations, okay, and create a new meaningful form of knowledge by themselves. The student himself is progressing. The student itself is learning in his own way, and he can put the language learned in a new form than the teacher has given it to him. So this is a good advantage for the alternative assessment. So in groups, or individuals, let's after we have spoken about the definition of the alternative assessment, let's speak about the advantages. Why is it better than the traditional ways? Let's use the chat box, of course.
So, Mr. Mohammed, excuse me. Can you maximize the screen? Make it bigger, please. You can.
How about that? How about that? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're using the chat box to write the advantages of the alternative assessment. Why should the teacher use these kinds of assessment? Why shouldn't we use traditional ways, just pencil and quizzes and choices and true and false and so on? Okay, Mr. Ali, you can read.
Okay, I'm going to read some comments on the chat box. Some people say, Mr. Sami said it's easy to use and it's more effective. Okay, and we have Miss Sophia said it improves the presentation skill and the self-confidence. Well done. Miss Christine said it's acquired confidence. The same idea, I think. And we have Miss Samia Taha said that students are more active in this assessment. And Miss Hannah said that students become more active. Okay, same. It helps the students to use language, not just keeping it by heart. Mr. Ahmed said that. And we have again Safa Omar said it allows the students to demonstrate their knowledge and execute tasks. Okay. Again, Ms. Nora said it encourages students. And Habiba, I don't know who is Habiba. She said that it develops the speaking skill. Miss Habiba, and Ms. Sophia said that develops social abilities. Okay, good. It's a good part or a good side of assessment. People are innovative here, are giving more than you want to Mr. Muhammad. You want Mr. Muhammad. Ms. Fatima said students can be creative. So I think all comments on the chat box are on the same track about engagement, about being creative, being active in the class. Also, Ms. Hagar said it's simple and flexible. Also, some said it's easy to use. Some people said it's flexible. And to language, Ms. Amira said it's use language. So, Mr. Muhammad, what do you think?
Okay, these are any lovely answers from very active participants. Thank you all for all your attention. Really, I'm impressed by all your answers. Most of all of what you said is quite clear and correct. We need in our classes these days to not depend on the traditional ways of teaching. Each one of us in his teaching, inshallah, the next year or in the summer courses, tries to find other ways to assess the students, to give the students a chances to the ability to use their language. This is one way. Try to find different ways to make real life language situations in which the student can participate in. This is in your assessing. Try to find that to make the students more responsible for their own progress. When you are using the alternative assessment, you are giving the students and allowing the students to get more responsibility about their progress. And of course, you are going to, as a teacher, it's easy for you to show the progress. And I'm going to show, I have chosen the portfolio because it's an easy way for the teacher to show the students, to show the parents, to show the administration, and the senior teacher about the progress of your child, because you are having something in your hand. It can be with you during the whole term. You can add
Mr. Muhammad, excuse me. Concerning the hand, I have a hand here. Ms. Heba Abdurrahman had something to add. Okay, Ms. Heba, go ahead.
Plus what Mr. Muhammad have said, I want to say the same point. The teacher can follow the students' progress, and also at the same time to know the strengths and weakness points in the students, and it will help him to collect enough data about the student, so he can put a perfect and a suitable plan to the student himself. Yes.
So Ms. Heba, you think that assessment is like a remedy for students? You're going to amend the mistakes, the misperformance, or you can say the performance that doesn't do well with the student, and the performance also we are going to you can make changes in the performance of this teacher. Okay, this what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean
a remedy becomes a remedy.
Yes, I mean that after following the performance of the students, I can put another plan to develop the weak points and to enhance the learning process for the students.
Yeah, remedy plan. Yeah. Yes. Good. Well done.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to what we have done. The alternative assessment. Okay, number one, we can speak about the application of skills. Okay, you are applying, as we said, that the main verb which was in the definition of the alternative assessment, the student are able to apply. Okay. So one of the advantages of the alternative assessment is the student are going to apply the skills. The student are going to solve a problem, so they are depending on the problem solving. And inshallah, I'm going to tell you some of the ways, the kinds of alternative assessment in which you solve a problem. For example, in teaching literature, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the best uses and implementations of alternative assessment is it a student-centered? It's not a teacher-centered. As we said that the student is a self-directed learner, the student himself. So it belongs to the student-centered approaches. Responses to real-life tasks. What do you think? If I want to make a student to be an excellent student at writing or a grammar or using vocab or and so on. So should I give him just paper, sheets and paper and pencils, and I'm asking him to write, or I'm putting him in real situations in which he is going to face through his life? For example, using grammar. So I'm asking you to write correct grammar sentences. So for example, speaking, I'm not giving you just phrases to memorize. No, I'm putting you in real life situations such as the exercises and the dialogues and conversations and in different kinds. So one of the best advantages of alternative assessment is that the students' response to real life tasks. Of course, طبعا we are going higher in the Bloom's taxonomy, the higher levels of thinking you are applying, you are analyzing, you are evaluating, and the students are responsible for their own understanding. Learning. Okay. So this is what we have to know and memorize this slide. These are the forms of alternative assessment. All of us must know all these kind. All of us must choose any one of them and to have to be familiar with one or two or three of them. This is the main core of our session today. The different forms of alternative assessment is not, number one, the self-assessment, in which the student assess himself. Okay, the peer feedback. The student who are the shoulder partner is going to give you a feedback. And the portfolio, and this is our main focus today, and the presentation, the interview, and the performance assessment. So these are some of the different forms of assessment. Please, you have to memorize them, take a picture of them, write them, okay, and try to be familiar with any one of them, okay? So let's start with the question at the end. In your class, how can you make a suitable use of these alternative assessment? Has anyone used any of these things in his class? Anybody tell us about his experience in teaching?
Yeah, we can raise hands.
I actually use it, but not.
Please introduce yourself. Please.
Miss Waida, I think.
This is me. No,
Waida?
this is me, Christine.
Miss Christine, yeah.
Christine,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I actually use it. All of these methods, but not the in the curriculum for school, because I feel it takes time, and but I use them for the courses in the summer vacations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not stick
like
in
the main course. Sorry for interruption. The main goal for this is to use these kinds with the school students. It would be much better. And most of us are excellent at the summer courses.
I understand.
Teacher, but the challenge is using these kinds of assessment inside our schools. This will be, I think it's a challenge. And inshallah, I hope, inshallah, you are going to use them in your school.
Yeah, I hope so. But I encounter with a huge obstacle, which is the time. The curriculum itself. Sometimes the curriculums are so boring and behind the time. Like we are in 20th century, and especially for all the curriculum, like time for English and so on. So I can't implement all of these methods with this curriculum or with the limited
Miss
time.
Christine, sorry, Miss Christine.
Mm-hmm.
This means that the ministry or the curriculum is not well prepared, and the chapters, the units, or whatever, so is not including the methodologies and the ways of teaching and the different, you can say, following up students through lines, through chapters, units, and lessons. So this means that you are not reading well the plan of the unit or the plan of the lesson.
Mr. Adel, may I speak, please?
Yeah.
And she speaks about a challenge, and we are here to speak about.
She said about the time. The time is a challenge.
And I faced most of these. I faced most of these challenges, and I'm going to show you a video, as I said in the beginning, to tell you that a school here in Egypt has done this with students at a younger age, at junior 3. And try to imagine that. A school, a class with 50 or 60 students in a governmental school used this kind of alternative assessment, and it really worked, and all of the students in the class participated. So it can be done, but it needs a lot of work. We don't say that, and it's easy, and we're not convincing the people that it's very easy, but it can be done, but it needs just organizing and hard work and so on.
We have more people want to participate, raising hands. We have Miss Mona.
Yes.
Sharif. Yes, Miss
okay,
Mona.
go ahead.
Yes. What's your name?
I'm a teacher in preparatory. I used to make the students to make projects after each unit. Okay. And also to make a presentation about this project. They make the project in groups, and then one of them come and make a presentation about it. They enjoyed. Well, yes, they enjoyed.
And they will remember it.
Yeah, they will remember it. Yes. And okay. in other classes, I do what some pupils come in front of the class and make a role play about the subject itself, or yes, a role play. Making.
It's a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, Mr. Muhammad, can I read some? Okay, some participants in the chat box.
Slide?
Yes, we are going to change it. We are in slide 6, Mr. Muhammad. Are we?
Okay.
Okay, change the slide. So some people in the chat box had some views. For example, Ms. Safa said we take home assessment, and Ms. Christine said it's not impossible.
Take home exams, of course, it's a very good one.
Okay, very good one. Miss Nancy said we have self-assessment in new curriculum connect, and after every unit there is a project. Yeah, so it's involved in the curriculum.